After April's all-male cast of the great story of the first ever Football World Cup, Alf Ramsey knew my grandfather, the Gala Theatre in Durham has announced plans for its summer show, which will feature an all-woman cast. Amanda Whittington's Be My Baby will be the second play to form part of the Gala Modern Classics. Victoria Holmes and Samantha Morris feature in the show, and they join me now. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
You're full of coffee?
Yes.
We're ready to go. Have a little natter. Tell me about the story.
It's loosely based around Mary, a young girl who gets herself into a bit of trouble. She's 19. She ends up pregnant, basically, in the 1960s. It's not acceptable. She's a single girl. She gets pregnant. Her mum ships her off to this Catholic home for girls just to have the baby and then come back. No one will ever know. She's gone to visit her aunt. That's what her mother tells everyone. Basically all about Mary's struggle as she tries to find different ways to deal with what's going to happen, having to give up the baby, the birth itself, because these girls know nothing about childbirth, anything like that. There are some really nice scenes where trying to piece together what's going to happen to them in a few months' time, how the birth happens. There's lots of talk of, they've got to cut your tummy open and things like that, and sort of how Mary and these other girls deal with the pain of having to give up their baby, and it's not necessarily their choice.
And you play Mary?
I play Mary, yes.
And Samantha, tell me a bit about your character, because you're in there as well.
Yeah, I play Norma, and the nice thing about the play, all the girls that are in there are at different stages of pregnancy, and they've all come from different backgrounds and got into this situation in a different way, and they kind of get each other through it. Norma probably is the one, she's the most pregnant, most far along. She has quite a trauma, and also she doesn't really cope with it very well at all. She almost doesn't realise what's going to happen, that she's going to have to pass her child on to somebody else. And so, yeah, it's quite traumatic for Norma, really, isn't it? She doesn't really come to terms with it at all.
Now, you've both played many roles which have been fictional in the past, you know, as actors, in other programmes, in other stage plays. But this play is different, because there could be ladies in the audience who've actually been in that situation. And so how do you approach it as an actor? Because you're playing something that could have actually happened to somebody that you're performing to.
You basically make sure you get it right. That's the only thing. Speak to as many people as we can. That's what we've been doing, and doing as much research as we possibly can. But the great thing about the script is Amanda's written it in such a way that it is so truthful and honest, and it's very factual as well. I mean, she did a huge amount of research before she wrote the play. As long as we managed to put it across with truth and honesty.
I mean, you two are both young, late teens, early 20s?
23.
23?
27.
Oh, hey, look at that. Bringing us there. Yeah. So, obviously, we don't have experience of that nowadays. You know, the support is there for young girls when they get into these situations. How did you feel when you were reading this script and thinking, blooming heck, this happened for real? You're kidding me?
Yeah, it's really hard. Like, we've spent days, I mean, research is really key. Like sort of Vicky said, just loads and loads of research.
These girls weren't necessarily educated particularly well. They had no need to grow up so early, like a lot of the kids do today, in the area of our version of maybe an early teen when you're talking about these girls, which makes it even more sad when you look at what's happening to them.
We're often hearing about teenage pregnancy and younger people getting pregnant. And do you think bringing young teenagers to see the show, maybe on a school trip, would be quite a good idea? So if you brought a class trip, instead of going off to Lightwater Valley or down to the beach with Eggs Harneys, come and see a play, do you think it would be a good idea?
I think it would. I understand this is the 1960s we're playing in, and then it's the year 2000 we're living in. Things like the way the girls talk about birth, and my character actually goes into labour and things like that, and a lot of teenagers today know all the facts. They haven't needed to learn or have a look at the emotional side of it. And these girls really go through that. I mean, every character, they all go through the different experiences. And even without having that knowledge that they're going to have to pass their baby over at the end, there's still things like, the girls talk about their water breaking, having to go to the toilet every 2 minutes, breaking wind all the time, silly things like that. And there's so much about the emotional side of pregnancy as well in the play that I think it would be good for any young teen to see.
And it's a good show as well. So
yeah. Oh yeah, it's a good show.
You should come there and see it.
Now, Be My Baby is all the girls, and we mentioned that it's all the ladies, but there's only one fella, and that's the director.
Yes.
How's he coping with a room full of women?
I think he's loving it.
Yeah, I think he's enjoying it, yeah. It's going well, isn't it? And it's quite like the play as well, so we've talked about really serious things that happen in it, and there are really big issues, but there's some lovely bits in it, like about really good friendship, like amazing friendships that happen between people who are not really like each other, might not normally have met had they not had this same experience. And so there's like a little bit of kind of, I don't want to use this phrase, but girl power. Do you know, like for the girls that manage to get through it, there is quite a, you know, there's a nice kind of warm sense to it as well, that the girls get each other through it. And they're all kind of, it's like the blind leading the blind a bit, isn't it? But they're really lovely friendships in it. In the play.
There's some great music in the play as well from around that time to bob things along as well. It sounds, you know, very uplifting in places. Are you expecting the crowd that come to see you to be predominantly women?
I hadn't thought about that actually, but I think there's a chance that the ticket sales would be predominantly female, but I don't think there's any reason that it should be. Like the girl groups of the 1960s were enjoyed by men and women. Of course, it was all about, like we say, a little bit of girl power, and it was great for these young women to watch the 60s girl groups with so much in control of their own life and things like that.
So Be My Babies at the Gala Theatre in Durham from Thursday the 18th to Saturday the 27th of June. Thank you very much, girls.
Thank you.